we should know definitively that Krishna has those attractive features in full. And he is very eager and anxious to display those features for the pleasure of all of his devotees. So sometimes we wonder, in spiritual life, taking to spiritual life, I may have to give up this, lose this. But whatever we are so-called giving up or losing, we should realize we are actually simply exchanging. But in any kind of exchange, if you're in barter business, you want to exchange something of low value for something of high value, then you're a good businessman, right? Otherwise, you'll be out of business very quickly. So in spiritual life, actually, all the different material attachments and attractive features, when we exchange them for spiritual life, we are actually upgrading. Anybody doesn't want to upgrade? Free upgrades. We get excited. And this is the free upgrade, actually, is spiritual life. So Krishna has these very, very attractive features. And one of his most attractive features is his pastimes. He has very, very unique pastimes. Krishna possesses 64 primary qualities, and 4 of them are unique. Even up to Lord Vishnu has up to 60. From the human living entities up to Lord Brahma has 50 of those qualities. Lord Shiva has 55 of those qualities. Lord Vishnu goes to 60. And then there are 4 exclusive qualities for Krishna. And those 4 exclusive qualities are his beauty, his Rupa Madhurya. He has a beauty, a feature that is incomparable. When one takes to seeing the form of Krishna, one cannot complete their desire with that. They want to drink more and more and more of Krishna's beauty. It is unlimited. We'll hear about this during Govardhan Lila. Then he has his Venu Madhurya, his flute. We all want to hear nice things, right? Nice music, nice this, nice that. But actually, the beauty of Krishna's flute is so overwhelming that it captivates all of Vrindavan. When Krishna plays his flute, even the rivers stop flowing. They go into trance, just absorbing the nectarian sounds. So this is his second of his unique qualities. And then the third and fourth of his unique qualities we'll see today. The third is his remarkable relationships with his devotees. This very unique exchange of love between Krishna and his devotees. And his pastimes. His pastimes are just captivating beyond imagination. But with Krishna's pastimes, we have to be a little careful. Because if we think, wait a minute, how I can understand some of Krishna's pastimes, they're a little bewildering. How he's stealing butter? That doesn't make sense. How your God can be a thief of butter, some foolish people will say. Or, how he can, destroy all these demons. Or how he could run from the battlefield. And so these different activities Krishna does, we have to understand them through the message of the acharyas. Because our acharyas describe these pastimes in detail of exactly the inner meanings of them, so that we can make sure that we draw the proper conclusions. Because with our contaminated vision, we might jump to some incomplete or inaccurate conclusions about this. So we always will discuss Krishna's pastimes through the commentary of our acharyas. So this Damodar pastime is one of the most famous pastimes of Krishna. And who is the principal character in this drama in addition to Krishna? Yashoda. Mother Yashoda. And Yashoda means the giver of fame. By this pastime that she played with Krishna, she brought great fame, right, of this very important pastime. So this Damobandhana pastime, this binding of Krishna, we'll discuss. So we'll read the first verse from the 9th chapter of 10th canto. The title is Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna, and then we'll discuss this pastime in detail. Shri Shuka Vacha Ekada Vihadashishu Yashoda Nandagehini Karmantara Niyuktasu Nirmamanta Swayam Dadi Yani Yani Hagitani Tadbala Charitani Cha Dadi Nirmantane Kale Smaranti Tani Agyata. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, one day when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quoting from the Vaishnava Toshni of Srila Sanatana Goswami, says that the incident of Krishna breaking the potted yogurt and being bound by Mother Yashoda took place on a Deepavali day, or Deepa Malika. Even today in India, this festival is generally celebrated very gorgeously in the month of Kartik by fireworks and lights, especially in Bombay. It is to be understood that among all the cows of Nanda Maharaj, several of Mother Yashoda's cows ate only grasses so flavorful that the grasses would automatically flavor the milk. Mother Yashoda wanted to collect the milk from the cows, make it into yogurt, and churn it into butter personally, since she thought that this child Krishna was going to the houses of neighborhood gopis and gopas to steal butter because he did not like the milk and yogurt ordinarily prepared. While churning the butter, Mother Yashoda was singing about the child activities of Krishna. It was formerly a custom that if one wanted to remember something constantly, he would transform it into poetry or have this done by a professional poet. It appears that Mother Yashoda did not want to forget Krishna's activities at any time. Therefore, she poeticized all of Krishna's child activities, such as the killing of Putana, Agasura, Shakatasura, and Kanarvata. And while churning the butter, she sang about these activities in poetical form. This should be the practice of persons eager to remain in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day. This incident shows how Krishna conscious Mother Yashoda was. To stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Uttama Parakalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha in the month of Kartik, we see that Krishna performs many, many sweet pastimes. And he does these pastimes simply to attract all of us to the all-attractive and to give pleasure to his devotees. So this Damodar Leela, we'll see many lessons. We'll discuss the lessons in detail at the end. But we'll see the supremacy or the power of bhakti. How powerful devotional service is. We'll see what is required in order to obtain Krishna. What do we need? What are the two principal ingredients that we must have in order to obtain Krishna? We'll see that. And we'll answer or understand some very peculiar things in this pastime. How is it that Krishna is crying? Almighty, all-powerful, indefeatable. Krishna is crying. How it is that he can be running in fear, trembling. But if he is running, the supreme, potent Lord, faster than the mind, how is it that Mother Yashoda can grab him, catch him? Oh, lady, running in a sari. How is this possible? How is it that Krishna can be bound? The belly is the abode of the universe. How much rope you would need to put a rope around the whole universe? So these sort of questions come up in this passage, and that's what we'll discuss today. How to understand them in detail. So this pastime takes place, of course, in Vrindavan. Sri Vrindavan Dham is the most beautiful of beautiful places. It is the eternal home of Krishna. So you can imagine how beautiful it must be. Take the most beautiful place we've ever seen and multiply it millions of times, and that will get just to a fraction of the glories of Vrindavan. There are wonderful chapters in Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly 10th canto, explaining the glories of Sri Vrindavan Dham. How perfect the air is, scented with the aromatic flowers, sounds of the birds chirping, beautiful river Yamuna flowing, the clouds situated just right in the sky to provide the perfect amount of shade and sun, the walking paths smooth as walking on the finest dust, no thorns or stones, no weeds in the gardens. Everything is just perfect and lush. All the fruits in the trees are perfectly ripe. Everything is just as one would dream. This is Vrindavan. And Krishna, having appeared in Vrindavan, is now residing in the home of Nanda Maharaj. So in this verse we see the word ekada, which means at one time. So when this pastime took place, Prabhupada explains in the purport, on the day of Deepavali. So on this particular day, Mother Yashoda had a desire to churn some yogurt into butter for her beloved Krishna. And our Acharya's comment, why on this day she wanted to? Well, she was lamenting that Krishna is always going to the neighbor's house stealing butter. He must not think, we must not be offering him a good enough butter ourselves. So this time, she did not want to give that responsibility to anybody. She herself wanted to churn the butter. Acharya has also commented that she also wanted to do this, take this butter and personally offer to Lord Narayan so that her son would be blessed. Not realizing that her son is the Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, the source of all expansions, but out of her motherly affection. So she said, today I will churn. But most days, all the maidservants would rise very early in the morning and begin all of these activities. And Mother Yashoda would not have an opportunity. But why today she had the opportunity? You may wonder. Because all the maidservants were otherwise engaged We'll see in a couple of weeks we'll be discussing and celebrating Govardhan Puja. Right? And Govardhan Puja we know takes place on the day after Deepavali. And what were all the residents of Vrindavan preparing for prior to Krishna upending Govardhan, upending the worship with Govardhan Puja? Who were they worshipping?
Lord Indra.
So they are preparing for Indra Puja. So this taking place the next day, all the maidservants and Nanda Maharaj had gone out and were preparing for this very elaborate Indra Puja. Because Govardhan Leela is coming later. This pastime takes place in Krishna's initial first 3 years and 4 months when he was staying in Gokul. He stayed in Gokul for 3 years and 4 months. And this pastime takes place there. Govardhan Leela takes place a little bit later. But so the maidservants were just gone, and just thus Mother Yashoda had the opportunity. And she was very, very anxious to serve Krishna in her full capacity. We see this is the mood of the devotee, to serve Krishna in their full capacity, whatever it takes. There's a beautiful pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita about the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the name of Govinda. And once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Temple was dancing and dancing in an ecstatic kirtan, and all the devotees were enjoying such ecstatic jumping and dancing. But after some time, Lord Nityananda said, we should break now, everybody is getting tired. And like that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then ended the kirtan. Everybody had wonderful prasad. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to his place where he was staying. And Govinda followed him. And after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took lunch, Govinda would always massage the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu while he would sleep. But on this day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so exhausted from the ecstatic kirtan. You know, sometimes after a big festival, right? We come home and we can barely make it into the house. We're so tired. So like this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so tired, he could not make it past the doorway. And he fell asleep long way across the door. And so when Govinda came, he asked Chaitanya, please move so I can come in and press your legs. And he could not reach around and it was not accessible. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I'm so tired. I cannot move. He said, just move a couple inches. I can sneak around and come in. He said, I'm so tired. Just step over me. He said, no, I cannot step over the Supreme Lord. Are you know what kind of offenses I would take? He says, I don't know what you want to do, but all I know is I cannot move. I'm so tired. And he falls out. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like, so Govinda is perplexed now what to do. He's being precluded from doing his service. So he takes his chadar, puts over the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, steps over, and then begins to massage the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So after some time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu woke up, and he sees that Govinda was inside the room. He says, oh, how you came? He says, I stepped over. And he says, have you had your prasad? He says, no, I have not eaten. Why you have not eaten? It's because you were sleeping in the doorway. He says, yeah. So you came in this way, you could have gone out that way. and Govinda says, in order to serve you, yes, I would be willing to do anything. Even if it means creating my own offenses and having to suffer the results. But to satisfy myself, I'll not even risk the tiniest of offenses. But that is why I cannot go on. This mood of Govinda's service is so perfect. And that mood is exemplified. The source of this perfect mood of serving Krishna comes from Mother Yashoda. She understood all the principles of how to serve Krishna. And when a lower principle might need to be broken for a higher principle. And we'll see what kind of principle is it when you chase the Supreme Lord with a stick. This is because of the purity of Mother Yashoda's mind. So So Mother Yashoda decided, today I am going to churn the butter personally. So she went into Krishna's room very early in the morning, petted his hair, and said he is nicely asleep. Now I can do my work. Because as soon as he wakes up, Krishna will create all kinds of this. Your mothers know this, right? They have to get up early, or while children are napping, they get all their work done. So Mother Yashoda, like this, began to churn the yogurt. And she was churning the yogurt into butter. And Krishna was sleeping in a separate room, and she began to churn. And as Prabhupada writes in this purport, while she was doing her service, what was she doing? She was chanting the glories of Krishna, thinking and remembering all the beautiful activities that Krishna had done, how he had killed the demoness Putana, Tunarvata, how he performed different pastimes with his brother Balaram, and like this, she was just singing his pastimes while rendering the service of churning the butter. This is actually the perfection of devotional service, is to always remember Krishna and to never forget him. This is the essence of bhakti. Everything we do in devotional service, it is meant to remember Krishna and never forget him. Smartavya satatam Vishnu Vishmartavya nadatatit sarve vede nishyakarshut etayor eva inkaram. All the principles in the Vedas, in the scriptures, in Shastra, they should be servants of these two principles. Always remember him and never forget him. And this is Mother Yashoda. Even in the household activity of churning the butter, she was remembering Krishna. And as she was churning, her bangles were tangling like the kartals. The rod into the pot was sounding like a mridanga, and a very ecstatic kirtan was taking place. And we sometimes wonder, what is the potency of my chanting? When I chant, what happens? Well, we should know that there is no difference between Krishna and his holy names. When we call out to Krishna, we are actually directly associating with him. He is appearing on our tongue, dancing on our tongue. But we cannot see that. But when the pure devotee is chanting, they actually experience Krishna right with them. So Mother Yashoda is chanting the glories of Krishna, and Krishna is just sleeping a few meters away. So of course, what's going to happen? He is going to awaken, and he is going to come. So as she's churning the butter, looking and dreaming about this wonderful butter that she can make for her beloved Krishna, hopefully preventing him from going out and stealing again, he woke up. But this time he was startled. Every day Krishna wakes up. Who is next to him? She never woke up without opening eyes and immediately seeing Mother Yashoda. She was always there every morning to greet him. And so she said, what? Mother has become so disturbed that she's gone out to do duties and forgotten her primary duty, me? And he said, I'm hungry. Now how is it that Krishna can be hungry? He is Atmarama, fully satisfied. He doesn't have material machinery like our stomachs, and we, after a few hours we get hungry, then we have to fill the belly, and then we rest, and then get hungry again. What was he hungry for? He was hungry for the love of Mother Yashoda. He was not hungry for breakfast. He was hungry for Mother Yashoda's love. So, I will try to explain. He was young, so he had to kick his feet off the bed, hold on, and just drop, and then he dropped to the ground. And then he kind of waddles, young kids when they first wake up in the morning and they're really just learning to walk, they're not so smooth. So like that, Krishna was walking and walking. And he sees Mother Yashoda churning the yogurt. And he goes straight for her. He's thinking, how am I going to stop her? So what he does, he goes and he grabs the big churning rod and stops it in her hand. And Mother Yashoda is wow. Krishna is thinking, let me show Mother Yashoda something new today. And Mother Yashoda is very proud. Like when our child does something new for the first time, we become very happy. Oh, my baby is growing. So like like this, Krishna grabbed the turning rod to show Mother Yashoda. That actually Acharya's comment that Krishna was giving us a further insightful instruction. That in our pursuit of devotional life, we should be careful not to keep churning all of the Shastra. We can go and analyze and churn the different texts and scriptures and ultimately go on and miss the essence. What is the essence of all Shastra? Always remember Krishna. Never forget it. Once we have understood that, that is sufficient study. We should not continue. Keep churning and churning, coming to no conclusion. So Krishna grabbing this turning rod was another instruction to all of us. So when he grabbed the turning rod, he told, Mother, I am hungry. And Mother Yashoda became ecstatic. One of her favorite pastimes, to feed her beloved Krishna. And so she took him on her lap and began to feed Krishna. And Krishna is just enjoying Mother Yashoda's milk. And there's this very sweet competition. Because Krishna's belly was expanding unlimitedly. Why? To receive the unlimited love of Mother Yashoda. This is the nature of the relationship between Krishna and his devotees. Krishna's thirst for our relationship with him is unlimited. He wants more and more. And the devotees' desire to serve Krishna is also unlimited. They want to render more and more and more service. And in the spiritual world, everything is unlimited. The facilities to serve are endless. If you want to render some service, there's unlimited boga in the boga cabinet. There are unlimited flowers in the flower cooler. There are unlimited jewels in the jewelry cabinets. Anything one wants to serve, it is there in abundance. Not like what we have, where we have to battle and scrap for whatever we can get our hands on. So like this, Mother Yashoda's milk was flowing unlimitedly. And Krishna's stomach was growing unlimited. They were competing. Who was gonna end? Mother Yashoda's loving milk or Krishna's ability to take it? Like this, they were enjoying it. But Mother Yashoda, prior to beginning to churn the yogurt, she had put some milk on the stove. But this was not any ordinary milk. This was a very special milk that Srila Prabhupada writes about in the purport. That of 900,000 cows of Nanda Maharaj, a small select number of those cows were fed a very, very special grass. And the milk produced from the cows eating that grass was so flavorful. And that milk was the only milk used to feed Krishna. So Mother Yashoda had taken some of this milk and put it on the stove. But we know what happens when we leave milk on the stove after some time. It begins to boil over. So Mother Yashoda was seeing that the milk was beginning to boil over. And so she thought what to do. I am in ecstasy, enjoying feeding Krishna. But this milk is boiling over. So she had a decision to make. Now on the one hand we could think, what's the big deal? She is with Krishna himself. Why anything else would be more important? What is a pot of milk? Nanda Maharaj has so many cows. What is the worth of a pot of milk? How she could put Krishna down to go run to save the milk? Isn't that interrupting service? So Acharya's comment. Yeah, actually, Mother Yashoda, she's playing mother. She also has a responsibility to teach Krishna the value of wealth. Milk is one of the primary wealth we have in this world, and we should not waste it. So, one of the reasons that she put Krishna down was to show that we must be very careful, even with this milk, even if it is abundant. So she puts Krishna down and runs to the milk. Now the milk has a very interesting pastime, which I think all of you remember from many years of discussing this pastime. But the milk was having emotion. Now, how can milk have emotion? Well, everything in the spiritual world has emotion and consciousness. So the milk was thinking that Krishna is enjoying Mother Yashoda's milk. And Mother Yashoda's milk is flowing in unlimited, endless supply. And if that is the case, then when will be our opportunity to be enjoyed by Krishna? And thinking that actually they'll never have a chance to please Krishna. And so the milk thought, if we cannot please Krishna, there is no purpose for us to live. And thus, what did the milk decide to do? To jump into the fire, saying, better we die. The milk was not overflowing due to excess heat. It was overflowing due to excess pain of the idea that they may not be able to serve Krishna. Do we feel that kind of pain when we are not serving Krishna? Maybe not. This is the mood of the pure. Such pain that if I cannot be used by Krishna, I have no use of life. And so it was jumping into the fire. But as Mother Yashoda approached the pot, something else happened. The milk stopped overflowing. Before she could reach this fire and turn it down, it stopped. Now how that is possible? Anybody has approached a pot of overflowing boiling milk and it stops overflowing before you get to it? Because the milk then realized, oh, what fools we are. By us jumping into the fire, we have interrupted Krishna's exchange with Mother Yashoda. Out of our selfish desire to serve Krishna, we have interrupted Krishna's pastimes with Mother Yashoda. And they began to feel shameful. Oh, we have committed a great offense, a great mistake. And thus, the milk stopped overflowing and stayed in the pot. This is the mood of the devotee. Sometimes in devotional service, we focus on, I want to do what I want to do. Instead of thinking, what will please Krishna the most? So the milk thought, yes, I want to be enjoyed by Krishna, but in doing so, I have now interrupted Krishna's enjoyment with his Supreme Lord. This is the mood of service. It's ultimately what is most pleasing to Krishna. So the milk like this has a very, full consciousness. Srila Prabhupada tells the story of how Mother Yashoda, when she would put rice into the cooker, and how she would tell whether the rice was done by going and pinching. She would simply ask, rice, are you done? And the rice would say, not yet, a few more minutes. Seriously. That's what the rice does. Everything has consciousness, emotion in the spiritual world. Like this, the milk was showing us this perfect mood of devotion. Yes, we may make mistakes, but let's correct them in a good sense. So, Krishna now, on the other hand, being set down and Mother left, what do we think Krishna felt? Mother left me for a simple pot of milk? Does she not know? Me? Right? Children think they're in the center of the universe, right? Actually, Krishna is the center of the universe. But he became very angry. And he began to shed tears. Now, in some places it's written that these are false tears. But actually, Acharya's comment, they are not false tears. You can imagine. When Mother Yashoda left, who is left remaining in the room? And? No one else. Right? So what is the purpose of false tears? False tears are therefore act for someone else to perceive that I'm crying, right? Krishna was by himself. But the love of Mother Yashoda, the bhakti of Mother Yashoda was so powerful that she could solicit such an emotion from Krishna. And so actually the tears and the anger was real. Now I say anger, that's one of the enemies of the mind. This is not material anger. Our anger is present by the presence of lust. When our lust goes unsatisfied, we become angry. What Krishna has, all his desires are fulfilled on the one hand. So what is this anger? It is actually transcendental. It is a relationship that Mother Yashoda's motherly love was so powerful that he could experience the emotion of dissatisfaction. And so Krishna said, I'll get back. When kids become angry, what do? They exact revenge. What can I do? So he took a stone and he broke the pot. And he broke it right at the bottom. And broke at the bottom because there's contents there, so it will not make a noise. If you break at the top where it's hollow, you'll hear the noise. So he's very smart. Mother Yashoda did not hear. And all the yogurt began to spill out, and half butter, half yogurt spilled out. And then he realized, I made a big one. And so, what does the criminal do when after committing a crime? Flees the scene, right? So Krishna ran, and he ran to the storeroom where there was yesterday's yogurt hanging and butter hanging from the pots. And there he turns one of the grinding mortars upside down. He sits up on the grinding mortar, even sits cross-legged, getting very comfortable. And he's taking his hands and eating the yogurt. And who is he sharing it with? All the monkeys. And they're enjoying having yogurt today. The crows are flying in and think, this is not a good scene. They just leave. They know this is danger. So Mother Yashoda, after attending to the milk, comes back and she sees, what happened? Now immediately Mother would think, some monkey has come and disturbed this. But then she saw, wait a minute, this was broken right at the bottom. It was broken too perfectly. She says, who did this? The saying that all the neighboring gopis are complaining about, that naughty Krishna whom I always defending. Now he is shown his naughty nature. And so she began to explore what to do, how to find him. And as most criminals do, they leave some trace, some evidence. And so Krishna, as he began to flee, he stepped in some of the butter. And we know when we step in butter, it stays with us. And his buttery footprints created a perfect trail to the storeroom. So he was ready to go. So Mother Yashoda was very smart, because Krishna was seeing all around. He's Paramatma, he's all-knowing. But still he was looking and hearing, wanting to see if Mother Yashoda was going to come. So he was waiting to hear her bangles and anklets. So Mother Yashoda was very careful. Just comes to the edge of the door. And before Krishna could realize anything, Mother Yashoda is standing right in front of him. The monkeys fled. Krishna is standing stone-faced. And then he observed something he has never seen ever before. Lots of firsts. First time never seeing Mother Yashoda when he woke up. And now he saw something startling. There was a stick in Mother Yashoda's hand. Oh boy. This is not good news. This has not happened before. So Krishna thought what to do. And so in a split second, he ran. Krishna was smart. He thought, listen, if I run to the front gate, all the passerbys on the street, they'll see, and Mother won't beat me there. If I run the other way, inside the palace, Mother will beat me in private. So instead, he ran into the courtyard towards the street. Now, Mother Yashoda, determined to catch Krishna, she begins to run after Krishna. Now, this is an extraordinary exchange. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Almighty, all-powerful Creator of everything, he is running in fear of Mother Yashoda. How is that possible? The malati flowers on Mother Yashoda's head is thinking, who is this extraordinary lady that the Supreme Lord is running in fear of? What we are doing on her head, we should be at her feet. And they fell from her head as she was running and landed at her feet. Great yogis and mystics, they do thousands of years of tapasya and austerity just trying to get a glimpse of Krishna. And this Mother Yashoda is going to chase Krishna with a stick, and ultimately she's going to catch him. As Krishna's running, he's getting away. And then he does his mistake. He says, let me see how far away she is, and boom. As soon as she turns back, Mother Yashoda grabs. Now the Upanishads say that Krishna is faster than the mind. How fast is the mind? I close my eyes, I think of Vrindavan, I'm in Vrindavan. No 15-hour flight, 3-hour taxi, 2-hour immigration line. No, that's all. So Krishna is faster than the mind. But he was caught by Mother Yashoda? How is that possible? This is the power of love. Power of bhakti is so strong. So Mother Yashoda catches Krishna. And now Krishna realizes, not good. Stick in hand, I'm caught red-handed, what to do? So he does what most children do, he starts to cry. And he's crying and crying. Right hand is caught by Mother Yashoda, so the only thing he can do is with his left hand, and he's rubbing and rubbing, trying to create more tears. And the black kajal around his eyes starts to run, and is painting a very beautiful makeup on his cheeks. And like this, he's crying and crying. But here, the second extraordinary thing happens. Mother Yashoda, up until this point, every time he cried, she would take her sari and wipe the tears. But this time, no wiping the tears. She is just staring at him. And Krishna's thinking, oh boy, more tears, more tears. Maybe that will work. And so he's trying to solicit more and more tears. And finally, he says, okay, what to do? Now this is Krishna waiting for judgment from Mother Yashoda, the supreme judge who hands out every reaction to all of our activities. This supreme judge is now waiting for his own judgment of what is going to happen. This is the power of Mother Yashoda's name. And so our acharyas give many different stories that take place in this exchange between Krishna and Mother Yashoda, of what they're discussing after he was being caught. And in one place, Mother Yashoda is telling Krishna, okay, come clean, tell me what happened. And Krishna says, I don't know, but when you ran to get the milk, your bangles hit the pot and it broke. And she's saying, no, tell me the truth. And another instance, she is calling, as she's chasing Krishna, she's calling him, you monkey lover, you king of thieves, your family are all thieves. And like this, she is chastising Krishna. And Krishna says, well, are you calling me a monkey lover? Are you calling me a monkey? If I'm a monkey, I'm going to run away to the forest. So he's like threatening like this. So like this, many exchanges happen. And finally, Mother Yashoda, seeing that Krishna is becoming overly agitated and fearful, she puts down the stick. Now she has to decide what to do. So she decides, I will bind Krishna. Now why she's going to bind Krishna? Again, our acharyas give many reasons why she is going to bind. One of the reasons is because he said, I'm going to run to the forest. Mother Yashoda became fearful. I cannot be separated from my Krishna. And I have to attend to all the household duties. So better I tie him so he does not run away. Another reason to tie him, she is thinking that because he is so mischievous, he might get in trouble. He might hurt himself, not being attended to by the other maidservants while I'm working. And the other reasons given is that she had a duty as mother. She's playing this motherly role to perfection, thinking, I have to teach my son how to do right from wrong. So sometimes punishment is needed. For these reasons, she decided to tie Krishna. So Krishna is sitting in the courtyard right next to the road, And Mother Yashoda is trying to bind him, and he is crying and crying and crying. He's making a scene. Oh, Mother Rohini, oh, Balaram, help me, help me, help me. And who comes? All the neighboring gopis, all the elderly lady, all Mother Yashoda's friends. They come and say, what's going on here? They see Krishna, crying and crying, and Mother Yashoda. And then Mother Yashoda, what is Krishna doing? Quiet! And she's trying to tell them, oh, you're perfect Krishna, huh? For all this time, they've been complaining how Krishna is coming and stealing over, stealing this. And every time, Mother Yashoda said, no, my Krishna would never do that, never do that. So now they're thinking, see? This is your same Krishna who we've been telling you for so long that he was not taking butter. Now, listen, we know Krishna plays so many tricks on the elderly gopis. One time when he was stealing butter, and one of the gopis, they decided that I'm going to catch Krishna. But every time they catch him, they were failed. So I told you, I think one time that she decided, she grabbed Krishna's hand and took him all the way to Mother Yashoda's house. But when he knocked on the door, who was she holding? Her own son. And who was inside, looking at her from the door inside? She was smiling. And then when she was walking back, she put her child on her shoulder and was walking back, and she looks up, and who she sees? Krishna. So this gopi said, okay, this time I'm not going to take a risk. I'm going to tie him up right here. So this attempt to tie Krishna goes back long before Mother Yashoda. So they decided to tie. So the gopi is trying to tie Krishna, but the knot is not working. So Krishna says, no, you don't tie like this. You have to tie like, you want me to show you? Yeah. So then she stands next to the pillar, and he ties the knot, and then says, oh, bye. Runs away. So like this, Krishna was always tricking and fooling and having transcendental fun. So the gopis are very happy to see Mother Yashoda and Krishna in this exchange. So she is telling them, oh, you're going to tie Krishna? Yes, I'm going to tie with the ropes. So she first took the rope that she was using to churn the butter, and she tried to tie Krishna to the grinding mortar. But when she brought it in front, it was 2 inches short. So she brought some more ropes, tied to the end, tied 3-4 ropes together, brought around, 2 inches short. And so all the gopis are thinking, wow, something mystical. This boy is protected by destiny. What destiny? This is my child, I'm going to die. His waist is this big. Nanda Maharaj has 900,000 cows. You know how much rope I have? And so she emptied her storehouse of ropes trying to tie. But every time, 2 inches short. Then the other goes, okay, we'll bring our ropes. So they brought their ropes. And ropes and ropes and ropes. And it was getting late now. Mother Yashoda is exhausted. Always 2 inches short. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur comments, why 2 inches short? In order to bind Krishna. Mother Yashoda was not binding Krishna with ropes. She was binding Krishna with her love. But in order to love and bind Krishna, in order to engage in this devotional service, 2 things are needed. One is our determination. Mother Yashoda was determined. She would have emptied the ropes of the whole universe to protect her child. There was nothing that was going to stop her. Sometimes in our devotional service, we are there when it's convenient. But with the slightest of inconvenience, we sometimes lose our determination. Our Mother Yashoda shows us that we should remain fully determined. But our determination alone is not sufficient. The second reason, the second inch of shortness, what else we need? Krishna's mercy. Our determination and Krishna's mercy. Those 2 combined, then one can achieve the highest perfected love of Krishna, and thus this eternal bliss and happiness. But we must do our part. Sometimes we think, when Krishna's mercy comes, then I'll take the chanting recently. Then I'll finish Srimad Bhagavatam. Then I'll render service. Krishna's mercy is there. But we have to go and take it. We have to receive it. It's like the sun is shining outside and I'm stuck in the house. We have to step outside and receive that sunshine. So our determination and Krishna's mercy. When they combine, then one can bind Krishna. So Mother Yashoda, being perspiring, becoming very fatigued, Krishna saw her determination. And then he bestowed his mercy. And he allowed himself to become bound by Mother Yashoda. And so he was bound by Mother Yashoda in this way. And then she went off to do her duties. And in this way, Krishna continued crying. And then when Mother Yashoda left, he started laughing and crying. What else was he going to do? But then he saw Balramji and Mother Rohini coming. They had gone out to Upananda's house for some program. So they came back. And so then then he starts crying, and oh Balram, oh Mother Rohini, help me. Children tend to exaggerate drama. So Krishna is like this, he's, help me. So Lord Balram becomes fiery mad. Who had the courage, the audacity to bind Krishna? Don't you know I am Sankarsana? I can burn this whole universe. I am Ananta Shesh. I can flood all of Vrindavan with my poison. Who did this? And somebody said, Mother Yashoda. Oh. And then he became timid like a mouse. Then Mother Yashoda came. And Lord Balaram said, why are you tired, Krishna? And he said, because of all his naughty activities. And then Balaram started to get more courage. Don't you know this Krishna? He is the source of all avatars. He is the source of, Vamana, Narsinghadev, and all these good. And Mother said, oh really? He is your Krishna is the source of Narsinghadev. When one small cat comes and meows, he comes running and hides in my sari out of fear. That is your Narsingha avatar, huh? Like this, Balaram is saying, yes. And then Mother Yashoda says, get away or I'll tie you up. Lord Balaram runs away. And like this, so then Balaram realizes Mother Yashoda is not going to relent. So then he goes to Krishna. Krishna, I told you so many times not to do your mischief. You're always doing this mischief, breaking the butter pots and letting the calves drink the milk too early and pinching the babies while you're doing all this. Now this is what you get. How many times have I had to tell you? My older brother, right? Correct younger brother. So Balaram is chastising Krishna. And finally, the cowherd friends and boys come. And there, our acharyas talk about, there they could have untied Krishna actually. But Krishna was enjoying this pastime very much. And of course we know from here he went on to bring down the two Arjuna trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, where Nalakuvera and Managriva were situated. Now these two sons of Kuver, they were cursed by Narada Muni. Narada Muni had cursed them because they were, due to their very prestigious position, being the sons of Kuber, they became very proud. And in pride we lose our intelligence. And when Narada Muni came in their assembly, they were naked and intoxicating. And they did not have the decency to cover up. Though they saw him, they did not have the decency to cover up. And so Narada Muni cursed them. And he cursed them that if you want to be naked, you can stand naked like a tree for thousands of years. Be my guest. And so he cursed them to become Arjuna trees. But when a pure devotee curses, it is actually a blessing. It is a blessing because that curse is meant to purify, to correct us, so that we can get back on track. And so Narada Muni gave him the great benediction that Lord Krishna himself will come and relieve you from your position of trees after 100 celestial years standing such. And so this time, Krishna, taking the grinding mortar that he was bound to, dragged it between the two Arjuna trees. It fell, and out came these two beautiful personalities. And when the trees fell, a big commotion came, and people were worried, what happened to Krishna? What happened? And then Mother Yashoda became fearful. Oh no, he could have been crushed. And so they untied him, and that's how Krishna became free. So Damodar Leela we see has many sweet features to it. But the purport that we can understand is that there is no greater way to serve Krishna than by the process of devotional service. Bhakti is so powerful that it even can bind Krishna with one's love. That the process of bhakti, it's not so complicated. It is simply to always remember Krishna and never forget him. That is the process of devotional service. And in order to obtain the ultimate perfection of devotional service, we must be determined. We must do our part. We cannot be lazy and think, oh, when Krishna wants it to happen, it will happen. Trust me, Krishna wants it. The question is, do we want it? How eager are we? Are we as eager as the milk to serve Krishna? Are we as eager as Mother Yashoda? So our determination. And our determination alone, though, we must have the humility to know that we are fully dependent on the mercy of Krishna. But when Krishna's mercy comes, coupled with our determination, then perfection is achieved. So this is some of the lessons from this very wonderful pastime that we get to celebrate by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who introduced this process to all of us. This is an ancient process of celebrating Kartik with this Damodar Leela, by singing Damodar Ashtakam, offering Gila, and relishing the process of devotional service. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Damodar Leela ki jai. Any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Discussion? Yes, Jane.
Whether the lila was happened only to relieve these two Kubera sons? Is
That was a secondary feature.
secondary feature?
Because that could happen at any time. Actually, why Krishna decided to relieve him on this day? When he became bound, he understood, what it's like to be bound. He knew they were there. So feeling compassionate on this day, that was a secondary. The main reason for this pastime is to illustrate the supremacy of bhakti and how powerful Mother Yashoda's love was for Krishna. That is the main purpose of this pastime. Any comments or questions?
You might have heard many times. Why particularly in the set of lecture called right to why Krishna selected to steal butter?
Why he selected to steal butter? It's a good question. So Krishna is served by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmi Devis. He has full service, right? So why he steals butter? He steals butter simply to give. What was the desire of all of the residents of Vrindavan? They wanted Krishna in their home. And they wanted to have Krishna as their son. And to feed him. And to enjoy with him.